Hear no racism, see no racism, learn no racism. Republicans in the Texas House just passed a bill that would ban teachers from teaching about racism or white supremacy. So I guess that throws like the majority of American history out. We're just gonna be it'll just be recess. It'll just be recess. Republicans in the Texas House passed this bill Tuesday. The bill is being fast-tracked to Republican Governor Greg Abbott to sign into law, and states that social studies and civics teachers aren't allowed to discuss the concept that, quote, one race or sex is inherently superior to another race or sex, or the idea that an individual, by virtue of the individual's race or sex, bears responsibility for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race or sex. It also states that social studies and civics teachers may not be compelled to discuss current events or widely debated and currently controversial issues of public policy or social affairs as part of the course. One more piece on this, it goes on to say that teachers don't have to take any professional training like cultural proficiency and equity training if it makes them feel any, quote, discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress because of their race or gender. My God, you guys, if white fragility was turned into a bill and enshrined into law, that's this. You're fragile, you don't wanna hear about racism? There you go.
It's sort of like, remember when I was like in my 20s and very, very irresponsible with money, after a big weekend, I would just not look at my bank account balance and be like, I just don't wanna know about this. And I feel like we're doing that, but like with American history. You're still broke. We are still broke, guys. And also, it always amuses me when lawmakers think they can somehow keep young people from obtaining information. They know a lot more about how to find, index, like research information than you've forgotten in your life, Greg Abbott. These people are digital natives. Like these people can find out things that adults are trying to hide from them. And I think that if this like becomes just part of Texas's educational system, people are either gonna learn their history from TikTok, because there are plenty of people on TikTok giving slightly wrong lessons about history, maybe from a different perspective, or they're going to be made fun of when they write college essays. Texas students are going to be applying for schools, and those college admissions essays are going to be handed around the Harvard office, and people will laugh at them because they are going to be such little summer children. It's just
summer children.
Little summer children. It's just setting up an entire state's worth of students to have a rude awakening once they get to college.
Absolutely, and this is the whole thing is tiptoeing around the idea of racism, right? It's not that. Obviously, the bill's language apparently makes it seem like we shouldn't teach that one race or gender is superior to the other. Like obviously we shouldn't teach that. But even discussing that throughout history and currently and baked into systems of policing and education and housing, it is very clear that certain groups of people are treated very differently than others, that inherently is racism. And like that is mind-boggling. And this is all, of course, about critical race theory, which is the newest thing. Apparently critical race theory is like the devil and it's poisoning children's minds because looking at race critically is bad. You have to look at race uncritically, Asian people drive like this, black people eat this stuff, Indian food is like that's what we want. We want basic race theory. We want like 90s problematic white comic race theory. Like we want the most basic stuff. And it's so true. Look, young people, how many times have you seen that white guy just explain like that reverse racism isn't a thing, like on TikTok? Like young people share TikTok videos and they're like, oh man, I just got a whole like semester of critical race theory in this TikTok. And you're like, good on you. I mean, not actual reading, but cool to start.
Bullet points, you got some bullet points.
Yeah, totally. You're totally right with this. So we'll see if it continues. Poor Texas, man. I I just want to read one more thing, then I know we got to go. One more thing. This is from the person who sponsored this bill, Republican State Representative Steve Toth, writes, "Do we want to talk about the Holocaust? Yes. Do we want to talk about slavery? Yes. We will have to talk about all the evils of our past without blaming white children simply because of the color of their skin. Critical race theory says I'm a white supremacist. Anyone that is not a person of color is a white supremacist. So basically, if everyone's a white supremacist, then no one is a white supremacist. That's so ridiculous." Oh God, okay, couple things on that really quick. He kind of got it at the end. Like, no one's saying you're a white supremacist. Well, I don't know, Steve, maybe you are. I haven't checked your Facebook, but no one's saying you are. No one's saying, but you're right that like no one actually is white supremacy. No one isn't white supremacy. White supremacy is everywhere. It's almost like it's a system. It's almost like it's not a person. You got it, buddy. You're almost there. But like, imagine going to the Holocaust and talking about the Holocaust and being like, okay, but now we can't blame the Nazis. Cause look, we're not about blame. The Holocaust happened. No one's to blame. No one's pointing fingers. Like what?
It's like
world
making the passive voice like your entire curriculum.
Yeah.
By whom? Like slavery occurred. By whom? Like there needs to be a subject and an object for a sentence to be operative. Like there needs to be a subject and an object in the way that you describe historical events happening between groups with asymmetrical power. It's like, I mean, and I do think he's kind of showing his cards a little bit by assuming that white people are going to be the ones to be made to feel bad. Why do you think that, sir? Is that just a kind of implicit acknowledgement of the fact that white people in the US historically have been the perpetrators of racist policies, racist outcomes? Is white supremacy being upheld mainly by white people? I feel like he kind of knows that that's the case. And he's making, sponsoring laws to protect the feelings of white children because he knows the truth. He knows it deep down. He just doesn't want other people to have to acknowledge it in school.
Yeah, that's the real crime. The real crime, again, is learning about racism. It's not the actual racism, just like homelessness. The real crime is having to see it, not that there are unhoused people. Perfect. See how this worldview works? Texas, I feel for you. My heart goes out to you.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.